Now, students in the UK have set up sit-in camps across universities to protest Israel's war with Hamas.
Yes, there are reports coming in from Leeds, Sheffield and Newcastle too. So is this gaining momentum?
Well, this is after 300 people were arrested in New York alone over pro-Palestinian protests yesterday. So what's going on with all of these protests? They seem to be spreading from university city to university city, from country to country.
Yes, shall we talk to the director of the New Culture Forum, Peter Whittle, about all this? Peter, your reaction to what we're seeing. So we've seen the riot police get involved on campuses in the United States. We've seen hundreds of students barricade themselves into buildings, claiming that they are pro-Palestine protesters. We're now seeing in this country a little bit of copycat.
We indeed are seeing that, Emily, but I would say that really for many of these people, I would say for most of these people, it's not really about Palestine at all. What we've seen over the past 6 months, whether it be on campuses like we're seeing now, or indeed in the demonstrations that we've seen in London on a regular basis, is a kind of alliance between the hard left and Islamist fundamentalists. And what they have in common is a hatred for their own societies. They have a hatred for Britain. They have a hatred for America. They have a hatred, in fact, for Western civilization. And so I think that this is the thing that binds them all together. This is the motivating factor in all of this. And it is the result, frankly, of years of indoctrination that basically these students, from the time that they were at school, have just learned that our countries, which, let's face it, are the most successful, the freest, the richest countries in history, we are in fact the cause of everything that is evil in the world. Israel is a kind of proxy for that at the very, very most. We have seen time and again on social media and indeed on your channel, the level of ignorance about the actual situation between Israel and Gaza. Amongst many of these protesters. They don't even know really what's going on, many of them. They are motivated more than anything by a kind of hatred for what they are themselves and a hatred for their societies. That's why it's growing, because, in fact, this has taken root right across the West.
Yes, and Peter, it's so interesting you talk about the success, the wealth, the freedom of the countries across the West, because perhaps there is a paradox there, that it is that very freedom that created that wealth and that success of countries like the United Kingdom and the United States. It's that same freedom that surely grants the right of many people to protest, even in an ugly or ahistorical way.
Yes, you're quite right there, Tom, on paper. But the fact is that this generation is unique, I think. Certainly compared to when we were at university or whatever, in that they don't particularly believe in free speech. Poll after poll shows this. It's very, very worrying. They don't believe in those fundamental foundations of what our democracy is about, what it's actually founded on. Free speech being, I'd say, the most important. They don't particularly believe in it. For them, their idea of what they would call hate speech trumps everything else. They don't allow other forms of speech. They deplatform. These protests you're seeing, particularly in America, and obviously they're coming here now, they're very strict, it seems, on who they allow into their camps, and you've got to be absolutely ideologically pure. I think it's a huge worry. I think the problem is, this is what we're facing going forward. The majority of our governments, of our political class over years and years, have always been infected with a kind of self-loathing, right? But the very nicest way of putting it is that they've been complacent about it. They don't quite understand it. all of our institutions, our universities, our schools, our cultural institutions, they have all been pretty much captured.
I guess you could call it. I guess you could call it progressive authoritarianism. But Peter, I must put to you, what do you say to? I'm sure there are many protesters on these campuses in the United States and also here in the UK at our universities who claim that all they want is peace and that they're protesting against violence, they're protesting against deaths in Gaza.
No, they don't want peace. They want to destroy us. It's as simple as that, Emily. They don't actually care about peace. They are very, very selective in what they choose to have protests about. I don't see many protests about human rights abuses in China. I don't see any protests about the way that, say, like gay people are treated under Islamic regimes in Islamic countries. None. Never. Nothing.
And I haven't seen protests against Hamas, really, on the same scale.
Of course not. They're now actually being quite open and talking about Hamas as being freedom fighters. You're hearing this. You're hearing it on the steps of American colleges. You will hear it here too if you haven't already. Many of the people don't even understand what from the river to the sea means. This is profoundly important, Emily, for our future. And changing this is actually going to be a generation-long thing. I'll just add one more thing for my point here, and that is that when you look at these demonstrations, you never see a Union flag, you never see an American flag. They would be, absolutely scorned. However, when you go on a demonstration like I have, pro-Israel demonstration some months ago, there were many Union Jacks. It was done in a different kind of paradigm, if you like. These people are an alliance between the hard left and Islamists, and they basically what they want more than anything is the destruction of who we are.
Well, Peter Whittle, I'm sure many people listening will be in resolute agreement with you there. Director of the New Culture Forum, Peter Whittle, thank you for your thoughts on what is a growing phenomenon.